Welcome back. If you've been hoping to get a better understanding of just how local government works, there's a class this month to help with that. Esther Fafelsky and Marianne Manderfield with the City of Holland are live with us early this morning with all those details. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great to chat with you. I know many people who could maybe brush up on these skills, including myself. Why did the city think that this class was needed?
Well, it's a class that provides an opportunity for local residents to engage in their local government. Oftentimes, residents are reluctant to engage because they may not understand processes. And of course, offering this course is an excellent way to gain that deeper understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of tell us what the course will be talking about. What are some of the things that you all will include in this lesson?
So it's an Essentials of Local Government class, and it's free. The public is invited to, anybody can attend the class, and it's about the process of government. It will talk about the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, and the Open Meetings Act, why we have them, why they're in place, why they're important, and also about your local boards, committees, and commissions, and what you can expect if you would to choose to serve on one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the City of Holland has over 20 boards and commissions. They're all advisory boards, and they provide excellent opportunities, again, for just the community to learn about what's happening in their neighborhoods and how they can engage and really influence the outcomes of what's happening in their daily lives.
Yes, and I want to talk more about that because, I mean, we hear about local government all the time, but I think the term itself might seem intimidating to some people. People might think, oh, that's nothing that I could ever have an influence in anyway because there are just so many people, but that's not the case. We often see very low voter turnout for elections that don't involve a presidential election, but those elections matter just as much, maybe if not more. I mean, those local government officials likely have more of an impact on your everyday lives, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
In your backyard is really where you can make the most difference with your voice. And by serving on a local board and commission and understanding the process that government goes through to make those decisions at the local level is really important, and it's open for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, literally when you say in your backyard, even changes that you want to maybe make to your home, you have to find out what are the city regulations and who do I contact. So literally any changes or any thing that might happen within your city or your area could be affected by local government. What is included in that broad term of local government? What does that mean, to start with the basics?
Well, if you really start with at the very basic level, your engagement could influence the Parks Department, Transportation Department, our Public Safety Department, our Planning Commission, our Assessor's Office. There's just a lot of opportunities to engage at a deeper level, and attending this class will help you understand a little bit more about process. Oftentimes decisions are made over time, not in a single meeting. So it's a long process. It's intended to be a thoughtful process, and that's why we want local residents to be a part of that process.
Yes, absolutely.
And to be engaged.
They're there living daily. They're there living day in and day out, and all of those decisions are affecting them. And so when you can be involved, whether you've got a passion for the parks, like Esther said, or your transportation, zoning ordinances, all of that is affected.
Such great examples. Your parks, transportation, public safety, our law enforcement, schools even, right? And so if you're wanting to be part of those decisions or put the people in place who are making those decisions, it's oh so important that you take part in this conversation and understand how these things work. And also, I like that you mentioned even helping people to get involved, take on these positions.
Right.
How important is that?
Very. And there are several openings right now in Holland, the City of Holland's local boards and commissions. So if somebody was interested, they can go to the website and see what positions might be available and go through that application process.
Perfect.
So the class is going to be offered on April 22nd at 6 o'clock at the Herrick District Library at the main library. It is free and open to the public, so we want to invite our residents, our local residents, to be a part of this, to engage, to learn. We believe that the most effective communities are those where our local residents are engaged in the process.
And now for people who are maybe wanting to get more involved, thinking, I never even thought about being part of a school board or something like that, that process in itself, is that something that you all will go over in this meeting as well?
We'll cover very basic topics that will be very beneficial to anyone who is seeking to serve on a local board or advisory board or commission.
Perfect. And, why is that important as well? I mean, we talked about learning how this process works, but actually having those positions, not all of them, are they all elected positions, or are there other ways that you can be part of local government too?
So many of the advisory boards and commissions are appointed positions. Our local elected officials are also a very important part of the process, but you do not have to be an elected official to serve on an advisory board or commission.
Yeah. Well, you also talk about the importance of even just being present at these meetings. I mean, we know as journalists, sometimes going to these meetings, it doesn't necessarily look as full as what you're seeing here. Sometimes it's hard to get that community engagement, even though they're talking about things that affect our backyards, as you said. So will you talk about the importance of attending some of these local government meetings?
Well, of course, if you're not actively participating, you're not going to be able to have a wonderful influence on your local community. So being present, being thoughtful, being mindful of process, and sharing your thoughts are a very important part of this process of community engagement.
And I also just want to point out some of the things that you are mentioning, like Freedom of Information Act, Open Meetings Act. These are things that benefit us in terms of being aware of how these things work and how they're meant to help us as citizens.
As transparency in government is very important to local residents. So it will teach them, again, the process and open their eyes to how decisions are made and why they're made and the process that they go through.
Excellent. Anything that I'm leaving out, ladies, that you want to be sure people understand about, why you would want to show up to this meeting, and just overall why it's so important to have these skills, all of us?
Well, now more than ever, I think there's a great opportunity here for our local residents to be engaged. I think it's important to understand process, as well as have a greater understanding of the practices of transparency that occur in municipal government and should in fact occur in all parts of government. So it's important.
Yes.
And to have a voice in your community, and you can be affecting change.
Yeah, and there are more ways to have a voice than just voting, and that's very important too. But finding out those other ways is something that you can do at this meeting. I think it's such an important conversation. I'm glad that Holland is doing that again. April 22nd, Herrick District Library, and you can just show up.
Absolutely,
right? You got those details on your screen now. Thank you both so much for being here with us early this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Great
Thank you,
having
Emily.
you. We're back right after this.